Well, I hope everyone's having a pleasant evening. It's the first week in December, actually the second week in December, and we are about to hit 30,000 miles, like literally about to hit 30,000 miles, in our 2021 F-150 XLT PowerStroke Diesel. 4-wheel drive, crew cab, 6.5 foot bed. 302A with the 12-inch screen and the Sync 4. We are really happy with this truck. We've talked a number of times about how we understand why Ford had to get rid of the diesel. Essentially, it was a matter of two things. First, the fact that people weren't buying it. And that comes down to the fact that a diesel in a light duty just has limited utility. You're not going to be towing a 15,000 pound trailer with it. You're not going to be carrying huge payloads with it. And so it can't really do for you in a light duty what the diesel can do for you in a heavy duty. And so that's the first reason. And the second reason is that the 3.0 is not a completely obsolete engine, but it's been in production for a number of years, and I don't think Ford saw too much of a future in it. I think they also thought there was going to be a lot of trouble meeting future U.S. emission control regulations, which are pretty ridiculous because the current regulations are so strict that a light-duty diesel, its contribution to the amount of pollution and particulates in the atmosphere is practically zero. You know, you compare this thing to a cruise ship, you compare this thing to to the coal-fired power plants that are being put up, one a day or one a week in China. This thing produces basically nothing in terms of nitrogen oxides, particulates, but it doesn't matter because the EPA is going to do their thing. And I think Ford decided, similar to the way Dodge decided or Ram decided with the 3.0 eco diesel that they just announced they were getting rid of. It just wasn't worth it, given the very low take rate. And so they got rid of it, and we don't blame them. It's just too bad because we love this truck to death. It's a great power plant, very smooth, very reliable, and very economical. Look at the MPGs we're getting today. We're not towing anything, but it's in the upper 20s, and that's without even trying too hard at all. We've been going I'll just say between 65 and 80. A lot of driving in town this afternoon, a lot of highway driving, a lot of heavy acceleration, and the truck just deals with all of it. It does not care. It will go as fast as you need to go. It won't accelerate quite as fast as you want to, but it'll get you where you need to go without any drama and without you constantly feeling like it's just a dog. It just doesn't have any power. It is not going to accelerate like a Power Boost or like an EcoBoost, and we're okay with that. We've got a Power Boost, and we don't sit around drag racing people with it. You certainly appreciate the tremendous power that it has, but it's not like you need it. The only time I'll say that you do notice a difference is, or you do notice the fact that it's not quite that powerful. It's got 250 horsepower. The only time you really notice that is when you're towing on the highway, as we tend to, a 3,000 to 5,000 pound trailer, and you're going through the mountains, for instance. It doesn't race up the mountains. And so you have to work the transmission, and you have to lock out 10th gear, 9th gear, sometimes 8th gear sometimes, in order to get up the mountains comfortably, get through the mountains comfortably. Because it just, as we've said a number of times, the transmission, the Ford 10-speed, which is a very nice transmission, it doesn't like to downshift. And so you find yourself going up a very steep uphill grade, and it's sitting there in 10th gear at 1,200 RPMs, towing a trailer in tow haul mode, and it just doesn't want to downshift. And somebody at Ford didn't really get the calibration right on that thing. Again, otherwise, no complaints at all about the 10-speed automatic. It's a great, great transmission. You just have to work it, using the plus and minus buttons, which we've talked about before. Where you hit the, you can't see it because it's dark, but you hit the minus button on the shifter, locks out 10th gear, and it makes it a 9-speed automatic. You hit the minus button again, locks out 9th gear, makes it an 8-speed automatic. And so on and so forth. And that's because of two things. Because of, first of all, the characteristics of a diesel, it doesn't have a lot of top-end power. It's got torque at low RPMs, so it can get a heavy load moving, such as it is. But it's not going to get a load moving fast up a mountain. And so that's the difference between power, low RPM torque and high RPM power. Without the power that, something like an EcoBoost or a PowerBoost can give you, you're going to have to work the transmission to keep the revs up. And the transmission is not going to do that of its own accord. As opposed to, like I said, the EcoBoost or the PowerBoost, you don't even notice the fact that you're pulling a trailer. And you don't have to downshift because it's got so much power in the mid-range. 1,800, 2,000, 2,500 RPMs. You do not even notice the trailer behind you. Plus the fact that the final drive is really, really tall really short in the PowerBoost. It's a 373 compared to this thing, which I think is a 331. And so that also, it's going to have your RPMs way, way, way down in this thing compared to a gas engine. All right, let's get around this guy. Other than that, we've kind of gone over all that before. Not much to add. What I will say again, at 30,000 miles, is that this truck is fantastic in almost every way. No reliability issues. We've had a couple of oil changes. We have, we made we essentially said we would change the fuel filter every, or filters every.
Use the right 2 lanes to take exit 6.
Every 15,000 miles. So we are about to put in a new fuel filter or new set again for the second time. We've had 1, 2, 3 oil changes now. No other maintenance of any kind. We've added a gooseneck trailer hitch because we've got plans for this thing. Again, with a diesel, you can't do too much heavy towing because of the fact that it just doesn't give you the power that you need to pull a heavy trailer up the side of a mountain. And then the other thing in a light duty is that it's got very limited payload, and so you're not going to be putting a heavy, it's very limited in terms of the pin weight that it can carry before the springs get crushed in the back. So you're not towing, again, you're not towing a 15,000 pound trailer with it, and you wouldn't want to. You can tow a 6 or 8 or maybe 8,500 pound gooseneck trailer with this thing. In the PowerBoost, I think it's ready for 9,100 pounds, and that's about all you're gonna tow. A couple things to pass along though, in terms of what it's like to live with this thing in the option packages. This did not come with leather seats, and we never asked for, we never choose leather seats when we buy a new vehicle. Sometimes it comes with it, and you just got to take it. But we prefer cloth seats for a couple reasons. One of which is the fact that they're not going to crack the way leather seats do after 4 or 5 years. Anytime you get into a vehicle that's 5 or 10 years old, it's got leather seats, they're all cracked and they're starting to fall apart. And they're, especially on that area where you slide into and out of the driver's seat, the side of the seat cushion, it's starting to fall apart, and it just looks terrible. There's a couple exceptions to that, one of which is, believe it or not, Chevy with the Silverado we have, which is a 2011 with almost 400,000 miles. The leather in that thing is in great shape, to our astonishment. Same thing with our Suburban, which died eventually with just over 300,000 miles on it. It was the 07 Suburban. Same generation, same style of interior. the leather on that thing held up great. And so I'm not sure what GM did with the GMT 800/900/910 series interiors, but the leather on those holds up fantastic. In other vehicles we've owned, no, the leather falls apart. And so that was one reason we didn't want it. And the fact that leather seats are too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer, and that type of thing. But after living with cloth seats in this thing for a while, you do realize that there are some advantages to having leather seats. The primary advantage being that it's very, very hard to stain them. You know, cloth seats will soak up all the spilled drinks and McDonald's French fry grease and anything that spills on them. It's going to be very hard to get it out. And leather seats will not. Leather seats are easier to keep clean. And that's really that's like the trade-off you have to make. And in this case, we bought a truck off the dealer's lot that had cloth seats, and we like them for all the reasons we prefer cloth seats in general. But you do notice that you have to work harder to keep them clean and be a lot more conscious of not spilling your drink on it and that type of thing. We've got the FX4 package in this thing. Again, we didn't spec it out. We bought it off the dealer's lot. It was one of the last F-150 diesels that were ever made, so we didn't really have much of a choice with the options. But it's got the FX4 package, and we would not choose that if we had a choice in the matter. Mostly because we're not taking this thing off-road. We're not, rock crawling or anything like that. And so 99% of people do not need the off-road shocks that the FX4 package comes with. It gives you a much, much less composed and less smooth ride. It's kind of rattling your teeth. And there's not a lot of upside. And again, unless you're taking this thing off-road through really rough terrain on a constant basis. You don't need it for running dirt trails or four-wheeling through the mud. You only really need it, again, if you're going through the Baja 1000 or taking it on very, very serious technical off-roading. And in a case like that, you'd probably just get a Raptor instead. So for 90% of people, you don't need the skid plates. You don't need these heavy off-road shocks. It's just not what most people need. Some people do, and for them, that's we're glad there is an FX4 package but for 99% of average people, you don't need it. We spend 99% of our time on the highway, doing long trips, not going mud bogging, and so we would not choose the FX4 package, and we don't recommend it on either this or the Super Duty. Other packages, the 302A on the XLT is, I'll just say it's essential almost, because it gives you a lot of stuff that you really end up Android Auto or what have you. It gives you 360 Copilot Assist 2.0, which is the best Copilot you can get with the XLT. If you get the Lariat, it'll give you some other kind. It's like the 360 something. It's a different kind of Copilot. And this one comes with lane keeping and lane centering, which is basically a primitive version of Tesla's Autopilot version 1, AP1. And it works great. And it becomes indispensable because it does most of the driving for you when you're on the highway. And it takes a lot of workload and a lot of stress and a lot of exertion off the driver so that you can comfortably do 800 to 1,000 miles in a day, which we have done before in an F-150. Very, very comfortably. And you're not strung out and exhausted and You don't need 19 cups of coffee to keep your focus and your attention up. It just makes driving a lot more pleasurable. So we definitely appreciate that. And you practically, you almost should never get a Ford product that does not have that if it's available. Again, it's practically indispensable. We got the truck in white. There's a lot of colors that this truck comes in that are very, very good looking, and you almost can't go wrong. That's obviously a matter of preference. We did not get the sport package. We got the chrome package just because that's kind of, you know, that's our preference. We think it looks better on the outside. The downside being that the interior is a little bit less impressive looking on the truck with the chrome package versus the truck with the sport package. The sport package has a much nicer looking interior, and the chrome package, as far as we're concerned, has a much nicer looking exterior. It's got a chrome grille, like the way a grille ought to be. It's got shiny wheels, it's got shiny door handles, that type of thing. Shiny exhaust tip. The sport package forces you, I think, to get the console shifter. The chrome package allows you to get the column shifter, which, as far as we're concerned, is a much, much better choice in a truck. And we've talked about that before. There's a big debate or discussion as to whether you should get the console in the middle or the bench seat that goes 3 across. And to be honest, we've had trucks with the bench seat before. Our 97 F-150 had the bench seat. Our 2003 Ram 3500 has a bench seat with the fold-down console, and then a little compartment hidden under the middle seat cushion that lets you store your 9mm or something. And as far as utility is concerned, it does seem like the bench seat is more useful, because every now and then you're going to load your back seat full of cargo or packages or suitcases or something, and you're going to need to be able to sit 3 across in the front. That has come up a number of times before, and so it's nice to have that capability. Not that you want to force that on somebody, because it's not exactly the most comfortable thing to be the center passenger on a bench seat, but it's nice to have the ability to do so if you need to. And at the same time, the built-in console has a much more comfortable armrest, and the console itself is gigantic. I mean, you can fit hanging file folders in it. It feels like it's big enough to hold. It's absolutely gigantic. And so in that respect, it's very useful, but it's also a wasted seating position if that is, in case that's something that you might ever need to do. The bench seat on this F-150, unfortunately, that armrest isn't well designed, and it's not that comfortable, and it has a tiny little storage compartment in it. Compared to other ones like the Ram that we have, like I said, the 2003 3500, the 3rd gen Ram, that has a much more useful fold-down console on the bench seat than this F-150 does. And the cup holders on the fold-down console on this thing are practically useless. Not that you should make too many decisions in life based on cup holders. But it's like a 6 of one, half dozen of the other type of situation. Given a choice, we'd probably go with what we have here, which is a built-in console, not a bench seat. But there's a lot of reasons why you might want that bench seat. Other options, this does not have the sliding rear window glass, and it's not something we would ever order, but it is kind of nifty. We've got it in our other F-150, and it is kind of neat to be able to just kind of open that thing every now and then, get some ventilation. You can hear what's going on around you, which gives you a little more awareness of traffic and things like that. This does not have the sunroof, and to be honest, the panoramic sunroof is as far as we're concerned, it's a gigantic waste of money. We've got it in the Power Boost. We never use it. It costs $1,000 plus. It adds a lot of weight. And the thing about a sunroof, if you've got a vehicle that's over 6 or 8 years old, is that the little drains always plug up, and then it starts leaking into the interior. And then sometimes the motor dies and it doesn't want to close. And so we're more than happy to have a truck without a sunroof, because it just doesn't have any of those sunroof related problems that you're going to have to deal with. We have actually in this truck we do not have the locking under seat storage for the back seat, and that is a brilliant invention. And Ford put it in they've got it in the Super Duty, the outgoing version of the Super Duty. They've got it obviously in the newer version of the F-150 and the 23 Super Duty that's coming out. And it's just a really neat idea. It folds up, it gives you a little storage compartment under your back seat, and you can lock it by locking your back seats into position. And you can store your rifles, or you can store whatever you need to underneath the back seats. It doesn't cost a lot, it costs a couple $100. And it gives you that flexibility to have a locking compartment, which is very rare in a pickup truck because you don't have a trunk like you do in a regular sedan. But when you don't need it, it folds completely out of the way, and you've got a completely flat load floor in the back. Unlike with something like the Ram, where the little underseat compartment is permanently in place, and it kills to a pretty substantial extent the usefulness of that back seat when you fold the seats up. You know, you got that stupid little storage compartment that never goes away, so you can't put a lot of cargo or freight in there the way you can with this thing. Other options, the 360 camera system, it seems kind of gimmicky at first, but when you get used to it, it becomes extremely useful. This does not have the towing mirrors. The Power Boost has the towing mirrors, and the towing mirrors are very, very nice. This has the tailgate step, as does the Power Boost, and that, as far as I'm concerned, that is an indispensable option. The little step that folds out of the tailgate. The only downside to it being that when you've got a trailer hitched up, you can't use it. Unless for some reason you've got the trailer turned at a steep angle. You know, you've parked the thing at a 90-degree angle or what have you, and then you can use the tailgate step. But no, when the truck and trailer are straight, you can't use the tailgate step. And so that's why Ford decided to come out with the rear bumper corner steps and the bedside step on the new Super Duty, which I'm sure will make their way to the F-150. But for this thing, yeah, we use the hell out of that tailgate step. It's a brilliant innovation. People wondering whether or not you should get the XLT or whether you should step up to the Lariat. We are perfectly happy with the XLT. The Lariat has a couple things that this one does not. The Lariat's got the heated steering wheel. We couldn't really care less about. The Lariat has power folding tow mirrors, if you do get the tow mirrors, and power telescoping and power folding, and those are useful because those mirrors are gigantic and they stick way out of the vehicle, and if you're ever going to park in a parking lot, you need those so that some other idiot doesn't take them out who's parked next to you. The Lariat also has automatic four-wheel drive, and that's useful because of the fact that you might know never to put the vehicle into four-wheel drive on dry pavement. But the next person who drives your truck, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's one of your teenage kids, maybe it's an employee, they might not know that, and they might put it into four-wheel drive to get out of a muddy, a mud-covered road. They might use it to get through the snow at some point, and they might forget to turn it off, and then do substantial damage to your transfer case, axles, differentials, your entire driveline when they get it onto dry pavement and start trying to turn with it, and cause you thousands of dollars of damage because they don't understand that you should never leave the vehicle in four-wheel drive on dry pavement. A lot of people don't. Probably 80% of people don't understand that. And so the Lariat offers automatic four-wheel drive. You put it in four-wheel drive, forget about it. And again, the XLT does not, which is too bad. And it's just unfortunate. You know, we had a Suburban LT, and that thing had automatic four-wheel drive. That was like the mid-range Suburban. You shouldn't have to get the top of the line, you know, or a higher trim level to get automatic four-wheel drive. And the Lariat comes with leather seats standard. The XLT does not. The only way you can get leather seats with an XLT is if you get cat skin, you know, third party or aftermarket leather seats. We've got cat skin leather seats in the Power Boost. They're good. They work well. They're attractive. They're good looking, functional. Again, they came with it. We would not have ordered them that way, but they came with it, and it's fine. No reason to step up to a Platinum or a Limited or a King Ranch. You're just putting your cash in Ford's pocket, and you're getting extra trim and extra, you know, stuff you just don't need. It's all sort of aesthetics from there on out. There's really nothing of any value to us in the absolute highest level trim packages. 99% of people would be perfectly happy with an XLT or maybe a Lariat. Okay, and not too much else to pass along. Again, the bottom line with these trucks, we've got the Power Boost that just hit 50,000 miles maybe a month ago, after about a year and a half of driving it, and the 3.0 PowerStroke Diesel F-150 just hit 30,000 miles after 8 months of ownership, and we just love this thing to death. Couldn't be happier. It's held up very, very, very well. Basically no complaints, other than what we kind of knew we were getting into from the start, as far as the powertrain and its limitations, and as far as the option packages that it came with, that we again, we knew what we were getting into. Overall, could not be happier. There is basically no reason you would not want to get an F-150 if you're looking for a light duty pickup. It's too bad they don't make the diesel anymore. Oh well. You could find a lot of them that are probably gently used one owner samples, and they're probably in very, very good condition. The aluminum body, never gonna rust. Obviously it costs more to work on if you ever get into a fender bender, but in terms of the rockers and the fenders and the wheel wells rusting out, that's just something you never have to worry about again with the aluminum body, and it's a beautiful thing if you live in the snow belt like we have for many, many years. It's a beautiful thing. It also gives you more payload. It also gives you more towing. Okay, nothing else to add. Again, thanks for your time. I know this has been a long discussion. At 30,000 miles with the PowerStroke and 50,000 miles with the Power Boost, both of them are running just great, and we couldn't be happier. Thanks. Talk to you later.